Howdy, I'm Kurt Williams, and today we are starting the trip where I visit every single comic shop in Michigan. If you notice that I ever slur my words or it looks like I don't have full mobility of my mouth, it's because I just got my wisdom teeth out yesterday. They told me to take it easy for the week, but comics wait for nobody, and I'm moving to Georgia in 2 weeks, so I gotta suck it up and do it even if I'm in pain. So, because I got my wisdom teeth out yesterday, I am not allowed to drive yet. So I got my buddy over here, Adri.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Adri.
He's Adri. He's driving the car for now. He's my chauffeur for the day. We are planning to hit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 comic stores today. We're heading up to Comic Relief in Flint right now. We're going to end the day up near Traverse City with Rebel Sanctuary. Not technically Traverse City, but we're going to have to drive there by the end of the night anyway. We're also hitting the Amazing Bookstore, Bigfoot Comics, Galaxy Comics, Corey's Comics, Cashman's Comics, Collector's Corner, and Hall of Heroes or Comic Culture. I think they might be the same store. I don't know. They haven't picked up their phone yet. And Rebel Sanctuary is being really cool. The guy there named Greg, he's going to stay open for us so that we can get there today instead of having to cram it in tomorrow. The biggest issue that we run into is that comic stores just aren't open that long. Like, they're only open until 6 o'clock most of the time. And there's a bunch of stores that aren't open on Sunday, which makes the trip really tricky. So we're going to have to skip a few, and then maybe I'll just come back on a different day and hit those later. I don't know. While I'm going to these comic stores, I'm also rating them. And I don't want to shy anybody away from going to them. I don't want to give them a bad rating and tell you not to go. The point of the rating is just so you can know what strengths they have. So I've got 6 categories that I'm rating them by, and I have 5 points total that you can get per category. So a total of 30 points if you're like the best store on the planet. But anywhere between like 15 and 18 points is really good. That's like average in every category, and you can't expect a store to have great stuff in every single category. That's just ridiculous. So here's the categories. The first category is community involvement. That's like if they host gaming events, or if they have meet and greets with creators, or if they have groups get together to go to conventions or something. The greatest thing about comic stores historically is that they're a safe haven for nerds, a place to make community with like-minded people. So the most important thing that I think a comic store should have is really good community involvement. So that's number 1. Number 2 is we're taking a look at their new issues. I want to see the selection of new solicitations they get. If they're just getting like Spider-Man, Batman, a few other big 2 titles, then that's kind of subpar. If they're getting Image stuff and Dark Horse and Oni Press and Scout Comics, all the indie stuff, and you can choose from a bunch of different great comics every week, that's what I want to see. I'm not surprised if shops don't have all that kind of stuff, because it's kind of hard to sell it, especially if you're in a small town, which is a lot of these comic stores we're going to be visiting. And you don't want to end up with like 12 copies of some comic nobody wanted to buy, and now you're throwing them in the dollar bin eventually, and you're making no money, and you got to spend time and money just to get them in the dollar bin, get them bagged and boarded. So we're not going to be too harsh if people don't have the greatest selection of new issues, but I do want to see a good range. The third category is back issues. So I really like comic stores where I can dig through bins of stuff that goes back to the 80s, I hope, if not the 70s or the 60s. I want to see like close to full runs of titles, like especially X-Men or Fantastic Four, big stuff like that. If a comic store only has like 2 or 3 issues of the 1980s series of Dazzler, and they're ratty like a 6.0 or lower, and they're $7 each, that's a pretty bad selection. So I want to see, close to full series, maybe a few copies of a few issues, so you have a choice of grade that you want to pay for. But normally comic stores only have back issues as far back as they've been around. So like if the comic store was created in 2004, they probably don't have back issues going back before 2004, unless they bought like 8,000 comics at an auction or something and they've been sorting them in. But I know that sometimes sorting in new comics to your back issues boxes is an entire job for somebody to do. I've been to comic stores where there's one guy who does that, and that's all they do every day. So again, we're not being too picky, but I do want to see a nice, healthy back issue stock. The next category, the fourth category, is the oh wow factor. So if there's something at the shop that I don't see very often, it doesn't have to be rare, just kind of novel, like, oh wow, they've got a really good condition Batman board game from 1955. I don't see that everywhere I go. it's only worth $20 at most, but it's super cool. Or if they have like a really early issue of Fantastic Four signed by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, I never see that, so that'd be a really cool thing to see. So if I walk in and I don't see anything that is out of the ordinary, or I don't see anything that I wouldn't find at every other store, then it doesn't have a great oh wow factor. The next category is bargain areas, bargain section. So like dollar bins, 50-cent bins even. Some of my favorite comics I have, my most cherished comics, came out of 60-cent bins at like Time Travelers in Berkeley, Michigan. And they're like issue 33 of the Avengers with the cover falling off, but it was 60 cents. So what am I going to do? Not buy it? So I want to see if they have like good dollar bins, if they have good deals on trade paperbacks. I will absolutely dig through dirty old boxes of books to find some 1986 copy of The Power of Iron Man, and it's all beat up and it smells like basement. But what the heck? It's old. It's a collector's item. I like it. And I'm absolutely willing to pay like $5 to $10 for something like that. So I want to see what kind of bargains they've got. The last category is organization, which I'm not going to take too seriously. I'm really just doing it for the sake of the rating, not for my own sake, because I really like a dirty comic store. I like being able to dig through piles of stuff that have been there for 30 years and they've forgotten what's under them and they haven't updated the pricing, so I can get good stuff for a couple bucks. That happens all the time at like Time Travelers, which I go to pretty often. If they've got stuff all over the floor, if they've got new issues that are being stacked up somewhere and the spines are creasing, then they'll probably take a hit for organization. But for the most part, I like a dirty shop. So if you're one of the shops that we're coming to, don't be too concerned. I'm not going to be a jerk about it. And there are 5 points you can make per category. If you only make 1 point, I call that the "this is a load of barnacles" category. You got to be pretty bad in that category to earn a 1. Number 2 is discounts. I guess you get 2 points if you have the thing I'm looking for, but it's just not very good. Number 3 is A for average. Average is fine. Not every comic store can do everything amazingly at the same time. So a 3 point out of 5 points is still pretty good. 4 points is, what am I calling 4 points? Do you remember?
You didn't tell me.
I wrote it down and it fell on the ground. 4 points is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's better than average. I expect to see a lot of 4s, honestly. And then 5 points is totally wicked, which I don't expect to see a lot of, but if a shop gets a 5 out of 5 on one of these categories, then they're pretty great and you should visit. The point of this video is that I want to encourage people to go to comic stores as much as possible. I want to keep the industry alive. I want to keep the community alive, and the internet can do that to an extent, but there's just something so wholesome about hanging out in a store full of musty old books and talking to nerds who love them. So even if I give a store a bad rating, that doesn't mean don't go to the store. For me to recommend not going to a store, they'd have to be a bunch of jerks who just want me to leave the second I walk in, and they don't have any deals, and nothing is organized, and they don't get anything new. It'd have to be real bottom of the barrel for me to say don't go there. The point, again, is to encourage you to go to stores and support them, support the industry, and the guys who are also trying to support the industry. Let's see. So we got 10 stores today. I think we've got another 10 stores tomorrow, maybe 12 stores tomorrow, and then another 10-ish stores on Sunday. And I haven't planned out Monday yet, but I'm going to be hitting all of the Detroit area, which is like a comic store every 10 minutes. So probably more on Monday. I would love to do a live video. I'd love to take questions and just chat with you guys about what we're doing, but YouTube wouldn't let me. It has me on like a 24-hour warm-up period right now. I don't understand. But they also said if I have less than 1,000 followers, they'll just archive the video anyway, so it becomes private after it's done. And I don't really like that idea. So, I don't know. If I get 500 subscribers today, then I'll go live tomorrow. We'll see. For now, just post a comment with any questions. If there are any stores that you think I might have missed that don't show up on like iMaps or Google Maps or Facebook, then feel free to comment those stores and I'll try to hit them if I can. I tried to do my due diligence finding them, but the internet is the internet. So until we meet again, we'll just be driving around. Today is Friday. It's 9 in the morning. We're doing this right now. I'm posting this as soon as I can. We're out here doing this. I'll talk to you guys later. And Now, normally I say, if you read it, what do you think? But I'm not talking about a book right now. So if you're in the car, what do you think?